Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. FCT Police Command parades the 4 suspects arrested in failed bank robbery in Abuja on Saturday. Suspects, including bank staff, make confessional statements. Policemen surround property belonging to the family of former Senate President Bukola Saraki in Ilorin, Kwara State, after state lawmakers debate prompt calls for the executive to seize it. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission arrests the former Senator Sheikh Hussaini for alleged extortion of suspects with cases with the commission. And New Zealand and Australia among several countries that have already ushered in the year 2020. For more information on our tough stories and others, please visit our websites, channelstv.com. youtube.com/channelsweb has videos of our shows. We remain with legal matters. Justice Daniel Longji of the Plateau State High Court has dismissed the no-case submission filed by the former state governor, Jonah Jang. In his ruling, the judge averred that the ex-governor has a case to answer on allegations of misappropriation and diversion of state funds. According to the judge, the case file will be returned to the state's chief judge for reassignment, says Justice Longji is proceeding on retirement, which implies that the case will commence afresh. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has been prosecuting Senator Jang since March 2018 on an amended 17-count charge alongside a cashier in the office of the Secretary to the state government, Yusuf Pam, for corruption and misappropriation of funds to the tune of 6.32 billion naira. Let's get more news on the news at 10 now from Ibrahim Adra in the FCT. Hi, Ibrahim.
Many thanks, Amarachi. The president of the Africa Development Bank, Mr. Akinwumi Adesina, believes Africa needs to look inwards for funds to bridge its infrastructure gap. It says a fraction of the sovereign wealth and pension funds in Africa, totaling $1.8 trillion, will do the magic. Mr. Adesina is one of the visitors to President Buhari this Tuesday at the State House in Abuja. The chairman and chief executive officer of Nigeria Diaspora Commission is one of those who had audience with President Muhammadu Buhari Tuesday. She briefed the president on the activities of the commission while unfolding what plans she has for the year 2020.
I've started the process of having a diaspora database to know exactly the number of Nigerians in diaspora as accurately as we can, where hopefully we'll have a diaspora policy to be rectified by the Federal Executive Council. And then we continue our engagements. We had the Nigeria Diaspora Investment Summit, which was very successful. We're planning the Nigeria Diaspora Trust Fund.
She expresses hope that Nigerians in diaspora will get to vote in subsequent elections.
We'll be engaging the National Assembly to look into the issue of diaspora voting. Nigerians in diaspora believe they should be able to vote, and remitting so much money to the country and contributing so much to the economy, we believe they deserve to vote.
Also at the villa is the president of Africa Development Bank. He is worried about Africa's infrastructure gap of between $68 to $108 billion, suggesting ways to bridge the gap.
We have to also look at home first. Now, today in Africa, you have the size of the pension funds, sovereign wealth funds and pension funds and insurance pool of funds on the continent. It's about $1.8 trillion, right? And so you can see if you have $1.8 trillion in pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, and other insurance pool of funds, mutual funds that you have, absolutely, if we can just tap a little bit of that, we will close very quickly the infrastructure gap that we're talking about.
He said he was at the villa to thank President Buhari for endorsing his second-term bid for the leadership of the Continental Bank. Former member of the House of Representatives Abdulmumin Jibrin commends President Buhari, saying 2019 recorded several successes. On the 37 billion naira National Assembly renovation, this is what he has to say.
Unfortunately, at the moment, I'm not a member of the House of Representatives. By extension, I'm not a member of the National Assembly. So I am not competent to answer that question.
He denies rumors that Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje is working against him, adding that he enjoys a cordial relationship with the governor. And with the new year less than a couple of hours away, the Senate President Ahmed Lawan believes the year 2020 will usher in robust peace and economic growth for the benefit of all Nigerians. He said as much in his New Year message, in which he congratulates Nigerians for witnessing the end of 2019 and the beginning of the year 2020. In a statement, Senator Lawan hailed the resilience of Nigerians for their commitment to the unity and prosperity of the country and support for President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. According to the Senate President, quote, "I have no doubt in my mind that with the timely passage of the budget, restoration of the January to December financial year and other amendments recently made to our laws by the 9th National Assembly, the economy will enjoy significant growth in the new year." End of quote. Meanwhile, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila, has also felicitated with Nigerians for witnessing the end of the year 2019. The Speaker, who noted that 2019 was remarkable in Nigeria's history, having witnessed the general elections peacefully, said he believes 2020 would be better for the citizens. In his New Year message, Mr. Gbajabiamila says, "As an optimist, I have a strong belief that the year 2020 will be better for the country in all ramifications. Let's not despair. Let's keep hope alive, and God Almighty will see us through." End of quote. Both leaders of the National Assembly wish every Nigerian at home or abroad a happy and prosperous 2020. Today is the last day of the year 2019. Our correspondent, Darido, was on the streets of Lagos, and he reports that residents are setting the agenda for the government ahead of the new year.
Lagos, busy as usual, even in the last hours of 2019. The residents go about their daily businesses while savoring the excitement of the festive season amid the reality of the socio-economic challenges. It's been a year filled with activities in different segments of the society, which many hope will pay off and trickle down to the streets.
2019 is Nigeria's general election year, and of course, it comes with a whole lot of promises. As the year winds down, Nigerians on the streets are asking the government to fulfill all those promises they made during the election. Some of them say their needs are basic.
My expectation for 2020 is to see everybody growing up so that the poverty can reduce in our community.
All we can really hope for right now is for the security agencies to do their best in tackling security issues. And youth engagement.
Since we are all blaming our leaders that the change that we are expecting is not forthcoming, so we should take it up. We should take it up. We should focus on how to build a better tomorrow on ourselves.
Nigeria's economy is projected to gain some steam in 2020 due to household spending, boosted by the full implementation of the national minimum wage increase. But there are those who are not on anyone's payroll. Longinus is one of them. He says his small business is overtaxed.
We go pay for normal bill, trading permit, lock-up shop, extension, so and so forth. And as I mean, this tax is something like 1,000, 1,500, it will be better. But they can pay each one 6,000, 8,000, 5,000 plus. If you calculate all these bills, at the end of the year, we have nothing to gain. And market is not moving as before.
Aside from the developmental big project, they should go into other smaller projects too that will create employment, that will create jobs. The electricity has never been the way it used to be in the past. When you privatize a company, it means you want it for the best. It was privatized and now became so bad and worse. And we are still paying the same bill for what we did not use.
As the shrinking formal sector give way to an expanding informal economy in Nigeria, many of the small-scale business owners we caught up with say a new approach to making businesses thrive is expedient for the year 2020. Dari Ido, Channels Television News.
Many thanks, Dari. That's all from Abuja. Let's return you to our Lagos studio where Amarachi is waiting.
Thanks, Ibrahim. I'm so sorry, got lost in there in that report. year for infectious disease control in Nigeria. Rumbles of dissatisfaction also reverberated through the health sector, culminating in strikes. This report takes us through major events that marked 2019 in the health sector. Our correspondent, Mary Alale Yusuf, reports.
Infectious diseases took center stage in 2019. 810 confirmed cases of Lassa fever resulted in 167 deaths. There were 11 confirmed cases of yellow fever, but 47 deaths. Confirmed cases of cholera were 595, deaths were 71. There were over 6,000 suspected cases of polio. None was confirmed, and there was no death. In all, indices were worse than 2018, except in the case of polio, meningitis, and cholera. Nigeria would be getting a certificate declaring her free from polio in 2020.
The increasing political commitment has meant greater recognition and encouragement to the staff that work tirelessly to protect the health of Nigerians. It has meant increased funding to NCDC. It has meant an opportunity to increase our staff strength. It has meant that we have a strong, confident workforce that is taking on this responsibility on our behalf.
Almost as soon as the year rolled in, an answer to a distress call from the Lagos University Teaching Hospital showed resident doctors on a 3-day warning strike. The complaint was a palpable shortage of manpower, causing those available to be overworked and exhausted. The problem was promptly remedied when the state government employed about 120 resident doctors. But a proposed strike later in the year to demand salary arrears, skipped salaries, and implementation of the Resident Doctors Act was averted when the House of Representatives stepped in with a promise of prompt resolution.
There is stagnation in the Ministry of Health.
Just days to the 2019 general elections, the joint health sector unions took to the streets with their growls of unpaid arrears from the previous year and demands for upward salary adjustments, concerns which they say have not been addressed till date. Early in the year, the federal government launched the second National Health Development Plan to make healthcare services more available to everyone. 109.91 billion naira has been allocated to the Federal Ministry of Health in the 2020 budget under capital expenditure, and 359.33 billion under recurrent expenditure. This is much more than was allocated in 2019, which stood at 57 billion naira under the capital budget and 315.6 billion naira under the recurrent. Allocations to health also include provision for the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund, immunization and counterpart funding for health programs. Mary Alale Yusuf, Channels Television News.
When the News at 10 returns, we'll be discussing the health sector in 2019, plus New Zealand and Australia, among several countries that have already ushered in the year 2020. That and more from our London Bureau and around the world in 5.